welcome to my podcast. This is Ann P. of Fiber, Floss, and Fiction. Today is Wednesday, July 1st, 2020. Kind of a good way to kick off my birthday month, doing a podcast, and very excited about all kinds of fun, crafty things that I'm going to talk to you about today, as well as some book things. So kind of my usual with timestamps, knitting, then books and reading, and then cross stitch at the end. I hope everybody's doing well. My husband and I had a lovely weekend away in our little camper. We went up to a small RV place that's about not quite 2 hours from us north of here, so it's up by the Colorado border. And it was beautiful. The bugs were a little bit difficult, but we were camped by the Chama River, and so kind of the only place in the state that gets the kind of biting bugs that you get everywhere else in the entire United States. The weather was beautiful, sunny days, and then it was down in the 40s at night, so I had a sweatshirt on in the mornings. It felt so good, because it's definitely gotten summery here in New Mexico. We're all fine, just, weathering the storm as one does, and I hope that you are doing well in your corner of the world. I'm just going to get kind of right into things here this week, and we're going to kick off some knitting. I have 2 projects on the needles that I'm working on. We're about 15 days away from the end of the 100-day project that I've been participating in. And this project is what I'm working on currently for that, which is the Persephone scarf, designed by Miriam Felton, who is Mim Knits on social media things. I am using a set of gradient mini skeins that my friend Lori of Ocean Wind Knits dyed up for me using colors from my website, which is Willy Wonka Fibers. And so I'm doing this as kind of a fade gradient. So I have finished the first skein, which is this very pale pink. What I found was I basically have enough in each of these, they're 20 gram skeins, I think, to knit one full pattern repeat of the lace. And if I start to kind of fade in the other color, then it works out perfectly. So for instance, this little bit is what I have left of the pink, and I have just a hair more of this kind of grayish, pinkish green. I'm not even sure what color to call that. So I have finished the first pattern repeat. I have gone on to the second pattern repeat, and then the third pattern repeat is almost complete. I've got, I think it's 4 rows, but I've started to fade in the dusty purple. You can hardly tell, but there's like 3 or 4 rows of that in there, and so that's going to be this color. So I have that, and then I have one more color that's a darker blue purple. It's got some grays and navy, and then some of this kind of dusty purple in it as well. And then that will be done. So I'm expecting this to block out at about 60 inches of longwise dimension, and it should be a good length I like to wear my scarves where you make a knot and you pull the ends through at there rather than that kind of wrap. I think it's easier to get on and off. So very much enjoying that, and kind of fun to be using a pattern and yarn from 2 friends. Just makes it a little more special. The other thing that I'm working on, which is not really part of the 100-day project, but something that I decided I wanted to cast on for, is a Cozy Memories blanket. As always, I will link to the patterns below. It's going to take you to their Ravelry page, and I think you're okay with the direct link, but I'm not 100% sure of that. So if Ravelry's current format and landing page are causing you problems, seizures or headaches or any of the other issues, just beware. And I'm going to put a disclaimer in the links below so that you don't click on them accidentally if you're somebody who has triggers from certain types of viewing experiences on websites. I'm hopeful that Ravelry will change up what they've done with the formatting to make it more accessible. I will say that in general, one thing that you all may not know about me is while I do have my yarn business, because I have had to curtail all of my teaching because of my immune system issues, I really can't travel safely. So I've had to cancel all of my teaching engagements for the next year. And so I've been picking up some extra income working on writing copy for one of the local hospitals' websites. Doing a website upgrade is a massive undertaking, and really doing anything that would be a workable quick fix is difficult. So while I can appreciate how much time it will take, time and energy it will take, you know, this staff of, I think it's 7 people now on Ravelry, to fix the website, I am hopeful that that is what they are doing behind the scenes. Casey and Jess, since the beginning, have seemed to be very responsive to requests and questions and, you know, trying to make the site better. And I hope that that's really what they're going for, you know, that they will resolve the problems. I also understand that it's a massive undertaking and they don't want to make anything worse. So let's just say I'm hoping for the best in all those situations, but if you're going looking for patterns on Ravelry, please be aware that the site is causing some problems for users. So just beware. I'm off that tangent. Sorry, that was definitely a rabbit hole. Cozy Memories blanket. So I'm using sock yarn scraps that I've got. I have expanded my color palette into a warm color palette and actually got quite a bit of work done on this. This is great car knitting because you don't really, like, once you know the number of stitches you're going to use for any given block, then you just do that and you do it over and over again. Or you wind little yarn balls while you're traveling around looking out the window at the sites. So this is where I am currently. I haven't decided if I am actually going to add on a couple more blocks at this end. It's easy to do because this is all modular, obviously. But that's where I am. So I have like one bright pink square to go in here that will be light. And again, I'm doing this where I'm doing one row with dark, light, dark alternating, and then this row will be light, dark, light. The next row will switch back to this pattern, and I'm trying to do cool, warm, cool as I work my way through the blanket because I have loads of sock yarn scraps, so I have lots to pick from. Anyway, super bright, super fun. Not really working on any specific goal for that. Just I will pick it up when I need a break from reading charts is, I guess, a mental break. Let's see. I have a couple of other projects kind of waiting in the wings that I might choose to use if I get the Persephone scarf finished before the end of this 100 days project. If not, if I just keep working on that at about an hour a day, I think I'll be fairly close. I mean, like I said, I have half the month to finish that up. I don't think that will be a problem, but if I need something to substitute in, I have some other smaller options, another hat, or I may start a pair of socks a little bit early. So we'll see where I get to for that particular challenge. Okay, books. Let's talk about those. So I have 2 books to talk to you about this week. They're both kind of in the fantasy genre. The first of which is called The Elven, And I will put links to the books on Goodreads down below so you can find them if you're interested. So when I finished, well, let me back up. The Elven is a book that I'm reading for a challenge prompt, and more on that when we come to the end. For a book longer than 500 pages, and this one was 746. So a long book, and it took me a while to get through. I think I was about 3/4 of the way through, and I said to my husband, this plot sounds like two guys and their friends who played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons in college and kind of were stuck there. So when I finished the book and I got to the end of it, it turns out that the author is a medieval history graduate. He began this book while he was in college. One day he and his friend had a conversation about how the world of elves would work, heavily influenced by Tolkien's writings and a lot of D&D thrown in. So if that's what they were going for, they totally nailed it. This book is supposed to be similar to a sort of Lord of the Rings adventure. There are other books in the series that this author wrote after this book. This book focuses primarily on two elves. They love the same elvish woman, and most of the book is a quest for them to try to rescue her from this shattered realm where she's been banished by the elvish queen. And they have with them a companion who is they don't officially call him a Viking, but he's basically a character of the Norsemen. And along the way, they meet, and this Norseman is an excellent warrior and axe fighter. Along the way, they meet other characters. They have sentient trees who talk. They have dwarves who live under the ground and make amazing metal armor and weapons. They have a fanatical cult leader, I guess I would call him, who has some magical powers and can threaten the elves. So there's a lot of Tolkien mixed in with this. If you are familiar with Lord of the Rings, a lot of this is probably sounding very familiar. It was not as good as Tolkien, we'll say that. If you love kind of epic fantasy battle books, you will probably enjoy this one. It was a little long for my tastes. I don't mind long books, but I think at least a couple hundred pages could have been pared out of this because there was a lot of time where the heroes kind of had to go back to square one, and then the story almost repeated, just with some different characters in it. Again, sort of D&D, like let's roll the dice and see what the next challenge is for these two people. In the ending of the book, things work out okay, but it's a very, like, after 600 some odd pages of reading about these two elves striving to achieve the focus of their quest, it sort of fell flat. Like, things got resolved all of a sudden very, very easily, and I think I would have liked a little bit more redemption for these two characters that I've spent 700 odd pages with. So an okay book, but not a great book. If you absolutely love epic fantasy, grab it, give it a shot. If you're lukewarm about the genre or just really need it to be a good epic fantasy, probably not. The other book I read is called Sweep of the Blade. This is another one in the Innkeeper series from Ilona Andrews. I've read 2 other full-length ones of hers from this series and a novella this year. This book follows the main character of the series, Dina, who is the innkeeper. This book is about her sister and her sister's relationship with the House Craw, who are one of the oldest and most powerful vampire factions in this world of fantasy that is created around this group of characters. So the book opens with Maud, who she and her daughter, she was originally married to another vampire clan. Her husband is dead. The vampire clan has kicked them out and basically sent her to a very mercenary planet where she's been avenging her dead vampire husband's death and trying to take care of her daughter, who's 5. She accepts the invitation of this powerful vampire to come and visit his home and meet his family because he wants to marry her, and she doesn't think she really wants to get involved with vampires again. She is a human, albeit a human with amazing fighting skills. Through the course of the book, she has to prove herself as a warrior and a diplomat, and kind of comes to earn the respect of this vampire's family to the point that they accept her and things will end happily for this new pair. So you kind of know how it's going to end before you even start it, but Ilona Andrews is a very fun author. It's actually a husband and wife team who write the books. They do a great job with the fantasy world building, character building. The fight scenes are great, and the little quirky bits that they throw in with relation to character development are really fun. So, I mean, if you're looking for a fun, light read in the fantasy genre and you're okay with vampires, this is a good one to pick up. I think I would maybe read the other ones in the series, but you can find them on his and her, Ilona Andrews' Facebook page. They've released them in sections previously. So I just wanted to make mention of a new challenge that I'm doing through the Crazy Challenge group. I think that's what it's called, but I'll put a link below, on Goodreads. If you like to read, this group has tons and tons and tons of challenges. Some are monthly, some you can start anytime you want, some are seasonal, some are year-long. The one that I'm doing right now has, I believe it's 18 to 20 prompts that are themed on famous paintings from the Louvre. And so, like, for instance, this particular one was the Feast of Canaan is the painting that is the prompt for Sweep of the Blade. It was looking for a story that featured a wedding or a wedding feast or a celebratory feast of some kind. And so the whole plot of this book revolves around a wedding. Plus there's the impending nuptials of our main character Maud and her vampire betrothed. So really fun prompts. In each of the prompts that they give you, you have usually 3 options. So a lot of them are very straightforward, like read a book that's more than 500 pages. So I used the Elven for one of those prompts since it was $7.56. Some of them are, read a book that has something on the cover of some, an apple or a mirror or something. Some of them are prompts where you have to read a book that has this thing in a character or plot or references it. So I'm currently reading a book called The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Heep, which is kind of a quirky book about books, specifically Victorian literature and Dickens. And I'm about halfway through it, so I will talk to you guys about that next time I see you. So a good one. And I just started a new audiobook. I've read one chapter in it called, I think, Unholy Magic. Not far enough into it really to tell you anything about it other than the title. So we'll talk about that when I get that one finished as well. Okay, so let's go on and talk cross-stitch. All right, I have some, but I don't have a ton of projects to share with you guys because I've been working on just a few things since last time I saw you. Excuse me. And trying specifically to meet a fairly large goal on one of them. But let me show you what I have been working on. I pulled out Long Dog Samplers, The Pilgrim, for a few days just to get some stitches in that. I'm doing this as a very casual monthly stitch along with Kim over at Spartan Stitcher, where we just each work on our Long Dog Sampler sometime during the month. So here's what it will look like when it's finished. I'm stitching this one 1/2 using Silks for You and a 36 count linen, and I started at the center bottom. And I am almost done this page. I got a lot of work done on this. Hang on, let me fold it. On this page this time. So the page basically is just on this side of this bird cage. So like the duck's butt and some of these kind of have gushed over into the next page. That right there is where it gets cut off. So I need to finish, there's a branch that this odd little squirrely rodent is on. I have a branch to finish there, and I have a little bit left kind of in this corner to finish up, and that tree branch needs to come over a wee bit. But this right here is the edge of that page. It comes up kind of to here. And this right here is the top. So I think I will probably get the page finished next time I pull this out, and I am going to try to pull this out for at least a day in July and just do that, just get this page finished and check that off as a goal, even though I don't have specific goals for this since this was a new start this year. Trying to think what else to say about it. I love it on this combination of the kind of periwinkle blurple and the butternut colored linen. So you'll see that back out for a short tour sometime in July, but I'm not sure when. It may be one of the last things I do this month. I have a lot of challenges and things that I kind of want to work on specific to those this month, so if I don't get the page finished this month on that, it will happen in August. Okay, next I also put some more stitches into a stitching shelf. I think this is a little further along than last time I showed it to you. I got most of this book filled in, as well as the top here. This is crazy confetti through here, but I'm in the home stretch on it, I think. And then a bit more to go kind of in this section down here and to finish that book up. This will be out this month for one of my prompts in the Full Coverage Fanatics bingo for July. Talk about that in a minute. But here is the whole thing currently. So I don't know if I think I probably have a little more than 1,000 stitches left in here. I think I have about 1,500. But we'll see if I can get another page finish on that, if not this month, in the short term. And then the thing that I worked on the most was my Celtic wheel project. It is a Joan Elliott design that's found in this book. I got mine on Amazon, but I think there's copies on eBay as well as maybe Amazon. Here's the design, shown as a cushion. I will probably not finish it that way, but it's pretty. So this design features the 8 Sabbats of the Celtic year, and the top half begins with the fall festivals into spring. So fall and winter into spring. So I have finished this, which was my goal for the year, so this 25%, so I'm at the 50% mark on this. The fabric is color and cotton. It's an even weave in the colorway Sampler Gold, which I adore and think is fantastic for this project. And I'm just using the DMC colors as charted. There is quite a bit of back stitching in this design, but I really love it. I think it looks amazing. Just adds to the detail. Give you guys a close-up here. So Samhain, Mabon, Yule, and Imbolc Love this one, love the colors, love the kind of medieval illustrated book feel to it. Yeah, love all of it. So this will probably not be out again this year because I finished my Stitch 20 in 20 goal on this, but it will for sure be out in 2021 because I think it's going to be a complete finish goal, or I'd like to get the whole thing done next year. Hang on one second, I got somebody at my door. Okay, so let's talk plans for the rest of July. Full Coverage Fanatics is hosting a month-long event, well, 2 month-long events, our usual Around the World, which is a non-counting challenge. We'll be visiting India for this month. I'm going to be working on Once Upon a Fairy Tale. The national bird of India is the peacock, and that design has a peacock in it. So I'll be working on that. Our other month-long event is going to be the bingo stitch along, and if you visit the group on Facebook, which I'll put a link to below, you can download from the files section. We have a handy bingo card so you can kind of plot yours out if you are interested in playing. You have 2 ways to approach this. The first one is to not count, but just use the prompts to choose your projects. You can go for horizontal, vertical, or diagonal bingo, or you can go for a blackout and do the entire 25 prompts. You can also decide to do the counting version of this challenge where each block will be 1,000 stitches on one of these prompts. So for instance, landscape is here, or fairies, birds, all kinds of different themes that we've put together for the month. So you can either opt to follow the prompt and just stitch 1,000 stitches, or you can opt to stitch penalty stitches and stitch 2,000 stitches to fill this block in. So let's say going across here at the bottom, you can see my scribbled notes where I've got some options for each of those prompts. But let's say I didn't have anything that worked for birds. I could choose these 4 topics and stitch 1,000 stitches in for each of those. And then for this one, I could do 2,000 stitches on any project that I wanted to and still be able to get that horizontal bingo row. We've got lots of folks who are going for all 25 of them, so know that we're cheering you on. I don't think I have enough time to stitch all of that. But I do have some plans, and I know I had talked about those last time. I think they've changed a little bit because one of the goals that I have left for the year to finish up is a page finish on A Long Winter's Nap. And so I thought maybe I would switch it up and try to go for this vertical because there's 2 spots where I could work on that project. And that way, if I was close to getting a page finish, but not quite there, I'd have a reason to go on and try to tackle it for a second 1,000 stitches and be able to meet that page finish goal. So the other ones that will be out as part of the bingo prompts, I'm going to also be working on a stitching shelf, which I showed you earlier. That's also going to be a challenge prompt in semi-sane stitchers around the world challenge. I'm going to be working on Once Upon a Fairy Tale. I'm going to double dip that once for our full coverage around the world challenge for India, once for one of the prompts on the bingo board, and then also a semi-sane stitchers around the world prompt, and A Long Winter's Nap, which I've already mentioned. And then July is my birthday month. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing sometime this month is a new start, and I have picked another full coverage design. Thanks to Kim for listening to me muddle my way through the thought process on what I wanted to start. But I am going to be doing this one. It is What You Readin', Max Colors by Stephanie Law. It's not massive. I mean, it's big, but it's not massive. Can you see the little Siamese cat there? Yeah, very cute. And of course the girl with her book. And I love this kind of bronzed, scaly effect in the artwork. I love Stephanie's artwork in general. If you're not familiar with her, she has a ton of designs on heaven and earth, and she's also on social media, and she has a Patreon page, which is great because for like her lowest level of patrons, you get screensavers of some of her newest artwork every month, and also gives you access to technical videos and just listening to how she comes up with the concept for a lot of her art, and she works on it as she's talking about it. So I'll put a link to her page below if you're interested in supporting her in another way other than buying charts to stitch. So this will be a start. I probably won't wait till my birthday at the end of the month to actually start it. It'll probably get started before then, but I'm very much looking forward to this. So got that for one of the prompts in that vertical, which is dragons, right there. Let's see. Other things I'm going to be working on this month. Because it is July, I like to work on things that are birthday starts from previous years. So Desert Mandala is one of those from Chatelaine. So I'll be working on that for a bit this month. That is a Semi-Sane Stitchers challenge prompt as well. What else do I have? Let me look at my notes here real quick. So mostly full coverage pieces this month. I'll work a little bit on the Pilgrim, probably just one day, and see kind of where I am with all of that. I think I probably will not get a chance to work very much on Winter Fairy this month, even though I had thought maybe I could do that. I'm going to try to pull out my Christmas Morning Pets to put at least a few stitches in that. A few hundred stitches would be great to move that along. But yeah, mostly full coverage this month, so kind of focusing on that. As always, I will put all the links below to the full coverage group and those challenges that I mentioned here. I think that's it for me today. So thank you all for watching. If you're a new viewer, welcome. And I hope to see you back again. And if you're a returning viewer, as always, thank you for your support of my channel and your comments and other interactions. So we'll kick off July, and I will hopefully be back in 10 days or so to talk to you all again. So until then, happy crafting and reading, and I hope all of you are staying safe, staying well, and just managing, doing the best you can. So as always, take care and be kind.